Well, I hope you've practiced your addition. If you haven't, go back and practice. The good news is we're going to look at integer subtraction. What's interesting about subtraction is that we don't do it. We don't actually do subtraction, ever. What we do is we change subtraction to adding the opposite. This is called the algebraic definition of subtraction. Add the opposite. We don't actually do subtraction. For example, if I see 5 subtract 3, we don't do subtraction anymore. There's a really good reason. In fact, there's about 5 really good reasons. And throughout these videos, later on in the course, later on in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, in analysis, and even in calculus, I'll show you ways that I can prove to you that subtraction is a really bad idea. We're going to change subtraction to the operation addition. One of the main reasons is that subtraction is not commutative. 5 minus 3 is not the same as 3 minus 5. And the commutative property allows us to do a lot of things in algebra and in mathematics, and we can't do it with subtraction. If we change subtraction, the operation, to addition, you see, that's an operation, not a sign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave 5 the same, and I'm going to change the operation from subtraction to addition. When I do that, I have to add the opposite of positive 3. Even though you don't see it, there really is a positive right here. There's also a little positive on this 3. I'm taking positive 5 and subtracting positive 3. That is the same as adding a negative 3. One way to think of this is that I'm switching these two and there's no real change. Probably better to think of it as adding the opposite. Now I do integer addition, and the rule is who won? 5 plus negative 3, the 5 is larger, the positives win by 2. Whenever I see subtraction, I change it to adding the opposite. So we'll do some practice. And I'm going to rewrite this first one. This says 5 subtract negative 3. And I'm going to change it to 5. I'm going to change the operation to addition. I change the sign to a positive 3. And 5 plus 3 is equal to 8. Now I'm going to do the same thing in the next problem. I'm going to write the negative 8. And instead of subtraction, I'm going to change the operation to addition and change the sign to a negative 2. This was a positive 2. This was negative 8 subtract positive 2. It's now negative 8 plus negative 2. And debt accumulates, and I have negative 10. What I'd like you to do is go ahead and pause this video, try these problems, change them, and get an answer. And seriously do this. You can't really learn this by watching someone else do it. You have to do it yourself. Change subtraction to adding the opposite in every case. Okay, hopefully you did what I asked you to do. And if you rewrote them and found your answers, there is an easier way. There's a shortcut to this. I recommend using another color, maybe green, blue, some other color. Hopefully it'll show up. This is a different color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the operation by making a mark. I'm going to change the operation to addition, and I'm going to change the sign by making a mark. Notice that I always make 2 marks. One of my students called this the 2-stick rule. He said, "Mr. Jemison, what about that 2-stick rule?" I had no idea what he was talking about, so he showed me. He said, when we change the operation, we make a mark, 1 stick. When I change the sign, I make a mark, 2 sticks. That's -4 plus +3. If you rewrote it, you'll see that it's correct. And the negatives win by 1. 2-stick rule, add the opposite, and we get 15. Again, I'm going to change the operation to an addition, and I'm going to change the sign to a negative. I have to make 2 marks to do that. 1, 2. The positives win by 2. 1, 2, and the positives win by 25 in this case. Notice that 14 plus 11 has always been 25. It always will be. 7, add the opposite, plus 9, gives me 16. -18 plus +20 gives me +2 because the positives win. Remember the integer rule. Who won? If you're not sure about your additions, you need to go back and practice a lot. -6 plus -19. A negative plus a negative is not a positive. Debt accumulates. -6, if I owe $6 and owe 19 more, I owe 25. And finally, -4 plus +6 is +2 because the positives win. I hope you got this. You really do need to practice changing these. Again, you can try freerice.com. There are thousands of websites available. A lot of them will give you integer flashcards, and I recommend practicing your integers, adding and subtracting until you have it at 100%. You should be able to do 100 integer operations in a minute. So do 10 minutes of practice, that's 1,000 integer operations, and when you have them at 100%, you're ready to go on with algebra. Good luck, and practice a little bit.